بسم الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وبعد. As many of you may have noticed, since the beginning of the month of Ramadan, we covered the topic of mujahadatun nafs, struggling against the self. Then we talked about suhbah, or companionship. For the next few days, inshallah, we will talk about something that the scholars, they call minjalu or mihsadul hasanat, which is the cutter or the sheath by which good deeds are cut. It is the thing that gets rid of your good deeds. What is that thing? It is none other than backbiting. Many people that fast, that are from the sa'imeen, that are from the qa'imeen, that are from those that donate and do charity, they do all of these good works throughout the month of Ramadan and throughout the year. But one day they will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they will be surprised because there is no reward for their fasting, there is no reward for their praying, there is no reward for any of those things because of one simple action, and that is the action of backbiting. And so the topic of backbiting, the scholars, they say it is something that must be reviewed time and time and time again, because every single individual falls into it. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah, he said that ghiba is fakihatul ulama, that in the gatherings of even the scholars, just like how we eat fruit when we're sitting in gatherings, the scholars also backbite too. And this is, if that's the scholars backbiting, then what about those that don't know all of the hadith and don't know all of the ayat of backbiting? And this is why it's something that has to be reviewed over and over again, especially for us in the month of Ramadan, when all we're doing is collecting good deeds. But those good deeds could become nothing if we spend it backbiting about other people. And this is why if you are someone who spends his time trying to get good deeds and does good deeds, don't be surprised when you don't find anything on the Day of Judgment, because you are okay with talking about other people behind their back. So for the next few days, we'll answer some very important questions regarding the ahkam or the rulings of ghiba, so that we can protect our good deeds in the month of Ramadan, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, He'll ask us about a lot of things. He'll ask us about our words, about our actions, and even about our thoughts. And this is why we need this reminder. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And remind, for indeed the reminder, it benefits who? The believers. And if you're listening to a reminder and you feel that it doesn't benefit you, then there's not a problem with the reminder, but there's a problem with your iman. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Those people that have iman, they're the ones that benefit from the reminder. But if they're not benefiting, there's a problem in their iman, and they need to work on their iman. And so, now the question comes, when we're talking about backbiting, what is backbiting? The scholars, they give various definitions. But one of the most comprehensive definitions, which is taken from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it's extrapolated, is ذِكْرُ الْعَيْبِ بِظَهْرِ الْغَيْبِ وَلَوْ كَانَ حَقًّا. That it is mentioning the fault of someone else behind their back when they're not present, even if it is true. And so sometimes people will come and they'll say, well, Shaykh, I say it in front of that person anyways. And I've said that myself too, but I didn't know that at that time. Where we say, well, I say it to that person's face all the time, right? I tell him that he's such and such and he's like that, and I have no problem. That is adiyya. That's harming your Muslim brother. But even if they know what you're saying, it's still ghiba, because you're doing it behind their back. And this is why we have to stay away from it. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he asked his companions, أَتَدْرُونَ مَا الْغِيبَةِ? Do you know what is backbiting? They said, قَالُوا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَعْلَمُ. That only Allah and His Messenger know best. And then what does the Prophet ﷺ say? He says, ذِكْرُكَ أَخَاكَ بِمَا يَكْرَهُ. That you are mentioning your brother with that which displeases him. Right? And so this word akhaka, the scholars, they differ, but majority of the scholars, they say the word akhaka, it literally even means hatta Nasrani or Yahudi. That you're not even allowed to backbite the Christian or the Jew. unless there is a harm in the way, and inshallah we'll talk about that. But you're not even allowed to backbite them. Sometimes when we're in the marketplace, we don't like somebody, we switch into Urdu or Arabic or whatever language we speak, and we backbite about people because we think that, it's okay to backbite about even non-Muslims. But the Prophet ﷺ said, ذِكْرُ أَخَاكَ بِمَا يَكْرَهُ, every single person. And some people, they'll mention the hadith, اذكر الكافر بما فيه ليحضره الناس, or من خلع جلباب الحياة فلا غيبة له. All of these different narrations, these narrations have a specific understanding and an explanation that the scholars give. But for us, we're not supposed to backbite anybody, and that should be the thumb rule for all of us. The thumb rule for all of us. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked, أَفَرَأَيْتَ إِنْ كَانَ فِي أَخِي مَا أَقُولُ, what if what I am saying is actually the reality of my brother? Meaning he's actually like that. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, إِنْ كَانَ فِيهِ مَا تَقُولُ فَقَدْ اغْتَبْتَهُ, that if it is really true what you're saying about your brother, then you have backbited him. But if you are lying, وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهِ فَقَدْ بَهَتَّهُ, that if you're not telling the truth and you're backbiting him, then you have slandered him. You have done something even worse. There's ghiba. Ghiba, it can be true or false. Buhtan is when you're backbiting and it's false. You're making stuff up about other people. This is even worse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why we're supposed to stay away from these things, because they are the destroyer of our good deeds. Listen to what Imam al-Qurtubi said. Imam al-Qurtubi, he said, هِيَ مِنَ الْكَبَائِرِ مِثْلُ قَتْلِ النَّفْسِ أو الزِّنَا أو السِّحْرِ. That backbiting is a major sin. Just like murdering somebody else, just like committing adultery, and just like practicing magic. And this is one of the greatest scholars of tafsir. And even Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the scholars of hadith, they also agreed and said, أَجْمَعَ الْعُلَمَاء عَلَىٰ أَنَّ الْغِيبَ مِنَ الْكَبَائِرِ, that backbiting is from the major sins. The sins are divided into major and minor. And major sins, the only way that you're forgiven for them is by asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you backbited somebody else, you have to say that, hey, I backbited you and I need your forgiveness. This is how severe this matter is in the month of Ramadan. But unfortunately, some people, they'll backbite 70 times in a day. Just like Rasulullah ﷺ said, do istighfar 70 times a day. Some people will backbite 70 times in a day and they won't even notice. They'll be on the phone and they'll be like, oh, did you hear what she and she said? Or did you hear what he and he said? And their whole day of fasting is spent on the phone and they're backbiting. And they don't even notice it. And this is 70 major sins, not minor sins, not like the small things that we do. So imagine what's going to happen when you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're like, where are all my good deeds? They're not there. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that ghiba, there are different types. There's ghiba bil kalam, there's ghiba which we all know by the tongue, that's really clear. And then there's ghiba bil ishara or bil ima, which is pointing or indicating or insinuating, which we also do. Inshallah we'll talk about the examples of it. Even there's ghiba by winking, hams wal lams wal ghams. And there's even ghiba by imitating other people. For example, if somebody doesn't walk a proper way, if you imitate him and he doesn't know that you're doing that, that's also ghiba as well. And we'll talk all about those different examples and the types of ghiba, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, tomorrow, in order to protect our fasts, in order to protect our qiyam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not take away our good deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings. And inshallah make the niyyah and the intention that anybody that's sitting in this gathering, that you forgive them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they've ever talked about you. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.